Have you ever heard the myth that Vikings wore horned helmets? Well, this is just one of the many misconceptions about this intriguing warrior culture. It's a popular image, isn't it? A fearsome Viking charging into battle with a helmet adorned with menacing horns. But let's unravel this tapestry of myths, starting with those horned helmets. The truth is, there's no historical evidence that Vikings wore such helmets. In fact, they would have been quite impractical in battle. Now, let's embark on a journey back in time, to an era from the 8th to the 11th century, known as the Viking Age. This was a time of exploration, conquest, and cultural exchange for the seafaring warriors from the northern lands of Scandinavia, which today we know as Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. The Vikings were not just raiders, but also traders and explorers. They sailed the seas in their iconic longships, venturing as far as North America to the west, and the distant lands of the Byzantine Empire and the Caliphate in the east. These journeys were not merely for the thrill of exploration. They were driven by a search for wealth, new trading partners, and lands to settle. The Viking Age was a time of profound change and expansion for these northern peoples. They left their mark not just on the lands they visited, but also on the pages of history. Their sagas and myths, their art and craftsmanship, and their complex social and political structures all contribute to the rich tapestry that is the Viking legacy. And yet, much about the Vikings remains a mystery. Their runic inscriptions and sagas offer tantalizing glimpses into their world, but much is left to interpretation and debate. The Vikings are not just a historical culture, but an enigma that continues to captivate us, centuries after their longships vanished over the horizon. Now that we've set the stage, let's delve deeper into the fascinating world of the Vikings. The Viking Age began in earnest in the late 8th century, a time marked by a significant event. This event was none other than the infamous Lindisfarne raid of 793 AD. On that fateful day, a group of seafaring Norsemen, known to us as Vikings, descended upon the tranquil Lindisfarne monastery in Northumberland, England. They plundered its riches, desecrated its sacred halls, and left an indelible mark on history. The Lindisfarne raid was not merely an act of wanton destruction, it was a declaration of intent, a bold statement of the Vikings' ambitions. It signified the dawn of the Viking Age, a period that would span over 3 centuries and leave a profound impact on the lands the Vikings touched. The Vikings were not just warriors, but also skilled seafarers. Their remarkable navigational abilities, combined with their mastery of shipbuilding, played a pivotal role in their success. The longship, an iconic symbol of the Viking Age, was a testament to their nautical prowess. With its sleek design, shallow draft, and large sail, the longship was the perfect vessel for the Vikings' maritime exploits. These ships could navigate both deep seas and shallow rivers, allowing the Vikings to strike swiftly and unexpectedly. They could carry a crew of up to 60 men and a considerable amount of plunder. The longship was instrumental in the Vikings' raiding strategy, enabling them to launch surprise attacks, retreat quickly, and transport their loot with ease. The Lindisfarne raid was the first of many. The Vikings would go on to raid, trade, and settle in various parts of Europe, Asia, and even North America. Their longships carried them across vast distances, from the frigid waters of the North Atlantic to the sun-drenched coasts of the Mediterranean. The Viking Age was a time of exploration, expansion, and cultural exchange. It was an era marked by the Vikings' indomitable spirit, their thirst for adventure, and their unyielding determination to carve out their place in the world. This raid marked the beginning of a new era, one that would see the Vikings spread their influence far and wide. It was the dawn of the Viking Age, a period that would forever change the course of history. Armed with their longships, the Vikings ventured far beyond their home shores. Their journeys took them to distant lands, driven by a thirst for exploration, trade, and sometimes conquest. Among the many places they reached, Iceland, Greenland, and even North America hold a special place in their seafaring tales. Let's start with Iceland. Vikings, predominantly from Norway, began settling in Iceland around the late 9th century. They found an island ripe for habitation, with abundant natural resources and fertile land. These settlers were not just warriors, but farmers and traders too. They established a society that would last for centuries, leaving a lasting Viking imprint on the island. Then, there was Greenland. Eric the Red, a Viking explorer, was the first to sail to Greenland around the late 10th century. Despite its icy landscapes, the Vikings managed to establish settlements, adapting to the harsh conditions with their characteristic resilience. But the Vikings didn't stop at Greenland. They ventured even further, reaching a land they called Vinland, what we know today as parts of North America. Led by Leif Erikson, they were possibly the first Europeans to set foot on North American soil, predating Christopher Columbus by almost 500 years. The sagas tell of a land with wild grapes and plentiful resources, a testament to the Vikings' adventurous spirit. Yet the Viking reach extended much further than the North Atlantic. Their trading routes stretched from their Scandinavian homelands to the far reaches of Byzantium and the Arab world. They traded goods like furs, tusks, and amber for silver, silk, and precious spices. These extensive trading networks not only enriched the Vikings, but also facilitated cultural exchange, influencing societies far and wide. So, from the icy fjords of Scandinavia to the bustling markets of Byzantium, the Vikings navigated a world far larger than their homelands. They left a significant footprint wherever they went, shaping cultures and leaving a legacy that is still visible today. So, from their Scandinavian homelands, the Vikings left their mark in many corners of the world. Like all great eras, the Viking Age too had to come to an end. Not with a bang, but with a gradual shift in the tides of history. That's how the Viking Age drew its last breath. As we step into the 11th century, we find ourselves in the midst of significant change. The year 1066 marked a pivotal moment with the Battle of Stamford Bridge. This battle, fought on English soil, was the last major Viking invasion. It was a brutal, bloody affair, one that spelled the end for the Viking king, Harald Hardrada. His defeat signaled a shift, an end to the Viking dominance that had held sway for over 200 years. Yet the end of an era doesn't mean the end of a people. The Vikings didn't vanish overnight. Instead, they began to assimilate into the cultures they had once invaded. They intermarried, adopted local customs, languages, and religions. Over time, the fierce Viking warrior was replaced by the Viking farmer, trader, and craftsman. Their ships, once symbols of terror and conquest, became vessels of commerce and exploration. In England, the Vikings became the Normans, shaping the country's future in profound ways. In Russia, they became the Rus, founding an early state that would one day become a powerful nation. From Iceland to France, from Ireland to the Byzantine Empire, the Vikings left their mark, not just as raiders, but as settlers, as builders, as part of the very fabric of these societies. The Viking Age was more than just a period of raids and conquests. It was a time of exploration, of cultural exchange, of transformation. The Vikings themselves may have faded into the annals of history, but their impact, their spirit, lived on. And so the Viking Age came to an end, but their legacy was far from over. The echoes of their age can still be heard today in our languages, our laws, our culture. The Vikings may be gone, but they are far from forgotten. The Vikings may have faded into history, but their impact is still felt today. As we delve into the legacy of these formidable seafarers, we find their influence woven into the very fabric of our modern world. Let's start with language. If you've ever called a Thursday just that, you've paid homage to the Norse god Thor. English, especially in its northern dialects, is riddled with words of Old Norse origin, from sky to egg, leg to window. These are all Viking linguistic legacies. Place names too bear the mark of the Vikings. From Yorkshire in England, a derivative of Jorvik, the Viking name for the city of York, to Normandy in France, named after the Northmen who settled there, the Viking footprint is etched into the maps of Europe. The Vikings have also shaped our cultural landscape. Their mythology, with its pantheon of gods and heroes, has inspired countless works of literature and art. From Tolkien's Middle-earth to Marvel's Thor, Viking lore continues to captivate our imagination. Their societal structures too have left a lasting impact. The Thing, an assembly where free men could voice their opinions and settle disputes, is an early form of democracy that resonates with our own political systems today. And let's not forget the ongoing fascination with Viking culture in popular media and academia. Their exploits and adventures are the stuff of countless films, TV series, and books, while scholars continue to unlock the secrets of their language, art, and technology. In essence, the Vikings have left an indelible mark on our world. Their spirit of exploration, their bravery, their craftsmanship, and their cultural richness have all contributed to shaping the world as we know it. So, while the Viking Age may be long gone, the Vikings themselves are far from forgotten. They live on in our language, our places, our culture, and our collective memory. The echoes of their longship's oars still ripple through time, reminding us of a bygone era that continues to fascinate and inspire.